the new trade deal replacing NAFTA, USMCA, is agreed upon but not signed yet. Mm-hmm. Are you considering, Mr. Prime Minister, not signing it unless President Trump lifts the tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum?
Obviously, the tariffs on steel and aluminum are a continued frustration. What a tariff is a way of hiking prices on your own domestic consumers. Mm-hmm. So consumers in the United States are paying more for Canadian steel, Canadian aluminum than they otherwise would. And we've brought in retaliatory tariffs. Mm-hmm. That means Canadian consumers are paying more for bourbon, for Heinz ketchup, for a broad range of things, because we had to retaliate. But we would much rather have genuine free trade with the United States. So we're going to continue to work as soon as we can to lift those tariffs. But we're not at the point of saying that we wouldn't sign if it wasn't lifted, although we're trying to make that case.
But Mr. Prime Minister, some see this as the moment of leverage before that potential signing date, potentially November 30th, right before there's a new Mexican government in power, that this is your moment for leverage. This is your moment where you could say, Mr. President, if you don't lift these steel and aluminum tariffs, we're not going to sign it. Any chance that happens?
One of the things that served me very, very well through the 13 months of negotiations over the new NAFTA was that I don't negotiate in public. And we have strong conversations in private, and we get to the right outcome for everyone.
So when it comes to why the steel and aluminum tariffs were put in place, as you know, the argument made by some in the West Wing was for national security. You called that insulting and unacceptable. Have you talked to the President about that argument specifically? Has he apologized to you for Peter Navarro making those comments?
More than that, I had a conversation with the President at the G7 in Italy about a year and a half ago, where he agreed with me that it would be insulting to include Canada on a list of national security concerns on imported steel. I mean, our steel is in American armored vehicles, our aluminum is in your fighter jets. We have been close partners for a long time. That argument has been made time and time again. We're also now on an argument where these tariffs are actually hurting American businesses. American workers are losing their jobs because of these steel and aluminum tariffs. And we're going to continue to make arguments based on facts, not based on emotions or insults.
Okay. So to the point about tariffs, the President said in the Rose Garden when he announced this deal, quote, "Without tariffs, we would not be talking about a deal." Is he right? Did tariffs force Canada's hand here?
On the contrary, we have been open from the very beginning to negotiate a new and modernized NAFTA. I mean, it's one of those things that we recognize that a 25-year-old trade deal always has ways to update it for a digital economy, for modern expectations, and we were able to do an awful lot of that.
It's not the case that if there were no tariffs, you would not have.
We were always willing to sit down and negotiate, and we have.
On China, you have said, quote, "We're happy to engage with the Chinese." This is on trade. But part of USMCA lays out that any of the parties can back out, walk away from the deal with 6 months' notice if another one of the parties starts to negotiate with a non-market economy. Now, translate non-market economy, everyone knows that means China. Will that stop Canada from seeking a bilateral deal with China?
Nothing in the USMCA limits Canada's ability to negotiate trade deals with anyone. The USMCA, like the original NAFTA, has a 6-month clause. You don't even have to give a reason for it. You can announce that you want out of the trade deal at 6 months' notice, and you can walk away. That's already there. What the non-market economy clause requires is a level of transparency. If we're going to negotiate with China, or if the U.S. is going to negotiate with China, they need to keep their partners apprised.